It's not the mountain we conquer, but ourselves, as Sir Edmund Hillary once said. Today, we are honored to have a man with us who truly exemplifies this quote, Colonel J.K. Bajaj, SM, VSM, FRGS, a pioneer, adventurer, and leader. Colonel Bajaj is the first Indian and Asian to conquer not just the icy wilderness of Antarctica, but also the limits of human endurance and spirit. As a decorated military officer, motivational leader, and fellow of the Royal Geographical Society, Colonel Bajaj has inspired countless individuals to dream big and push their boundaries. Today, we dive into his journey of courage, persistence, and adventure. Welcome to ITV Gold Studio, Colonel Bajaj.
Thank you, Nidhi, for the invite. It's an honor to be with ITV Gold.
It's our pleasure.
Before I really take off on adventures or my lifestyle and give a message to the youth of this country and my countrymen back in India and Australia, where I live these days, I need to convey one message, straightforward message, which is for humanity.
Absolutely.
Which I learned very early in life. I get back to you on that very soon.
Mm-hmm.
It is that simple. Waqt, time. Waqt ki puja kar. वक्त की पूजा कर और काम कर डाल. If you can manage two things and your focus is on what the watch and the work in hand,
Mm-hmm.
you, your country, your people will never fail. हम बहुत ज़्यादा सोचते हैं, किताबों में लिखा है कर्म कर डाल. That means you have already thought of it, what I want to do. But if you want to be more brighter, more educated, and in a beautiful rotating chair, then have a work in hand, work in mind, and one you see in your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
To follow it up. Edmund Hillary, as you mentioned, he rightly said, he said, एक रास्ता नहीं तो दूसरा खुलेगा. I said, sir, कैसे खुलेगा? कहता, turn left and go back to the same route. It was marvelous what he said when I was taking him to Gangotri, where he had never been, and wanted to wash his, I won't say sins in Ganga, but he was fascinated with our Uttarakhand.
Let's go back to your roots. Your journey is extraordinary. What was your childhood like, and did any early experience shape your passion for adventure and exploration?
I was 6 years old. 1947, 15th of August, Bharat Azad hua. Hum bhi azad hue. I came on top of a train. My father was a jailer, but we were seeing the mess which it was between India, Pakistan, the division, and my only desire was to travel on top of the train, but there was no seats inside. 50-seater bogie, 255 people.
Wow.
And that also the mothers with the babies in their lap. I persisted. I'm using the word persisted. My father was a very hard taskmaster. He gave me a couple of slaps. Stop! See what's happening outside. And you want to be on top of the train. I persisted. And finally, after 25 hours of persistence, I climbed the train.
Wow.
And I was on top of it. That's the highest I climbed in my life. Although I might have gone on Kamen, 25,000 feet and blah, blah, trained plenty of ladies, girls, boys to Everest and all, trained them. But that climb I had never forgotten, on that top of Chuk Chuk, Chuk Chuk, Chuk Chuk.
And how many siblings were you? And your mother was also on top of the train and protecting all the kids?
I think I was too small, and the most people were more, because the trains were, some of those like that kind on the top. And a large number of people trying to hold me, that they felt that I'm too excited a person and all that. You might probably start dancing or something. But anyway, it took that 30 kilometers, took us almost about 70 hours to reach the border, which was Atari. That's where we got down. But I learned my lesson, that be focused on your objective, you will be a winner. So all that I wanted was to go. Of course, after that, from year 6 till almost 14, I must have traveled from Chandigarh to Kasauli, Kasauli to Shimla, all by cycle or by trek. And I kept on doing all these kind of things, and slowly, eventually building up love for the nature, where actually you pick up a lot of threads in your life, practical ones. And lucky me, I joined the NCC very early in the school, then in the college, then OTU, Officer Training Unit. Lucky me to be selected. And now the fire was being lit.
How encouraging your parents were?
My father was always annoyed with me because I was a very poor student.
You did mechanical engineering though.
Oh, that's much later. Nakal maar ke sab pass ho jate hain. That's much later. It is only in the school colleges, if you fail in the first class, second class, third class, you can imagine what your father will do. That's what happened to me.
And he was a jailer, as
and
you
I
mentioned.
said to my father very clearly, I said, look, if from Urdu you make it Punjabi language, from Punjabi you make it Hindi, Hindi to English, tum bhi 4 baar fail ho jaoge. And he gave me another one. And my grandfather was the only Jayadayal. He said, Barkatram Bajaj, ये एक ना एक दिन तेरा नाम रोशन करेगा. He used to give me one more after that. I said, this is not, he said, give me garland. My grandfather was a great man. And he actually really churned the stomach to tell me to do it, you can do it. This is what we really need. Some people just need encouragement. Then they know how to climb. I always taught them when I was in the climbing institute as an instructor, guest instructor, chief instructor, then later lucky me to be the director. I always traveled with my students, including all this Bachendri Pal, Santosh Yadav, they are my students.
Wow.
From that, 9 of them and all that. They are in touch with me most of the time. I never held anybody's hand. I let them do it themselves. You want power in people, then they will carry you forward. But should there be necessity to arrest a fall, that's where your hand must come. One of my chief instructors asked me, Sir, ये बताओ, जब आदमी स्नो पे आइस पे चढ़ता है और रस्सा नहीं कुछ नहीं आइस एक्स लगा के चढ़ रहा है, तो उसको कब रोकना जब गिरने लगे? मैं कह तेरा हाथ उस समय नीचे आएगा जब वो गिर रहा है. उससे पहले आया तो he will never get the confidence. लेट आया तो मर जाएगा. I want that from you, from 11 of you. That's how it. I did pick up lots of adventure sports during my early life. Okay. One other thing was I was always on punishment in the Indian Military Academy also.
Oh.
Coming late, you haven't got, no, I didn't have mustache. This thing is not correct and all. Standards used to be. Today also they're high, but they were very high. And that's the time when I had midterm break. Everybody going home, I was going to Manali and Himachal, high mountains, and I wanted to touch the ice. It's the first time I touched the ice at 14,000 feet.
Wow.
When we were at 6,000, Barmore is the place. And they said, nobody will go out. JK, Bajaj being JK, I told one of friend like you, I said, रात को भाग चलते हैं. कहते सुबह वापस आ जाएंगे. We managed to touch the snow and ice, but came back at 10 o'clock. He said, now you're going to be relegated.
Wow.
You are going to be thrown out of the academy. I said, all right, I'll try again to come back. He says, you're that determined? We'll not send you. Come on. And that's what fired the desire. And I started looking into the desires. That's the first time I had touched at 14,000 feet.
What did it feel like?
See, the nature is a beautiful platform. The learnings which come from nature, nowhere else you can get it. That's why I say nature is a teacher and preacher. Walk into it, you have the booklet in your hand. How long you continue to do it? Your birds do it. Look at the eagles and all that. 1,500 miles they carry on and on, looking for a spot to just sit down for a while. And they fly that high and this thing. So there's no better platform than nature. आजकल तो वो कहता है वर्कआउट कर लो, जल्दी से अंदर घुसो, 16 मशीन के ऊपर चढ़ जाओ. ओ भैया 4 कदम चल के चला जा बाहर, 2 बार हाथ मार ले ऊपर नीचे, तो वर्कआउट ही तो हो रहा है. We are slowly, steadily progressing towards artificialism.
How did you decide to join the army?
You know, when you, early birds as they call it, learn to fly high, when I saw lots of, journals and Army, Navy, Air Force officers fighting for their country, and me luckily having been selected in the officers training unit as the first time, the first officer, OTU, Officers Training Unit. Lucky me, with the background of NCC, 3 years in school, higher school, 3 years, 3 years in the college, and I was saluting in 1960 the Queen.
Wow.
And leading the contingent. That put a real fire. I said, no way. And I quickly applied again for this thing. They said, wait, 6 months later you're going to become an officer. You're going to go to Indian military. I was so much excited. I went for the selection board again and I quickly got into it. Had I been in the OTU, I would have gained 6 months seniority. But I said, hell with it. The craze was so much that quickly put on the uniform and go on. So lucky me.
So when you wore your uniform for the first time, I want to know, like, what does it feel like? You were always eyeing that uniform. You'd always visualized it or manifested it. But when you actually wore it, what did it feel like?
I felt very good, but it was taken off very fast, the uniform. My first commandant he said, come and all have a tea with me. When I was going in, big Bhoot Bangla in which this Colonel Saab used to be, 6 gentlemen, I found Lawrence Cub outside on the gate to welcome. This is the first time I took off my uniform and I said, look, he probably seeing that I'm going to attack him. So his deputy, Lieutenant Colonel Byrne, said, JK, take off that uniform.
Oh.
As it is, you have uniform on you with your mustaches. You're going to go for a man-eater. Minus is coming, General Minus is coming from India. And he is going to go to the jungles of Maharashtra. There is a man-eater, and you are taking your men with you, and you got to build machans on top of the trees.
Wow.
And they are going to shoot the man-eater. That was the first time I had put on a uniform and taken off the uniform. I said, what kind of an army I have joined? When I come back, of course, we came back after shooting the man-eater. That's a different part of the story. How we shot and what it happened, how Minus shot it, and that built courage and all. So straightway the first thing I find, I was cribbing I said, I've joined the EME, Electrical Mechanical Engineering. Am I going to sit under the vehicles, tanks and all that, repair them and go? He said, JK, wait one, here is a posting order. I found myself in Leh Ladakh.
Wow.
Very next to Darbuk, Cheshul, where you're fighting today for the land. There were no roads those days. There was nothing. Charlie 130 used to fly us from Delhi, touch Chandigarh, straightway on to Leh. I spent 2 years. That's where the more and more desired fire came in to climb mountains and do something. Before I could whistle anything, they said, you're going for engineering. जबरदस्ती में B.Tech कराया, M.Tech कराया, MBA करवाया, जो भी है करते गए, and eventually one was still not happy.
Let's go back to Leh Ladakh. How was Leh Ladakh at that time, the socio-economic or socio-political scene there?
I used to come down from 17,000 feet to 10,000 where Leh is. Changla, Chishul, Pass, Chishul, across the other side. There were no roads.
Okay.
I was supposed to maintain the road so that if there are trucks or anything carrying food for the troops on the other side, they can cross over. My job was repair and recovery of this vehicle, being an EME officer. I had 30 people with me. Every now and then a vehicle is fallen in the river, Indus River, or it is hanging somewhere on the slope. So JK is sitting with a t-shirt and just trying to pull the vehicle out with his men and equipment. So that's where we found, I won't say we were better off, but we were not fighting like that way we are fighting today, by inch. And we want to clinch every inch.
Yeah.
And losing number of people more than otherwise. Otherwise, we only lost people in 62 war. That's the time we were there. I've been in Chishul,
Wow.
where the Magar and Grung hills are. That's the border. I remember I was a lieutenant at that time, full lieutenant with 2 stars. And KVK Rao, my brigade commander, he said, I want you to go and pick up and see how much of ammunition, how much of your dynamites are lying all over. So I used to walk around. They said, "You are not scared that you might blow off?" I said, "Look, it's very simple. If these birds can go around, we are just going behind the birds." There used to be partridges and all that. He says, "Now I understand why you are fearless." I said, "मैं तो ये birds के पीछे पीछे चलता हूँ और चलते चलते कहीं गलती से मैं I reach on top of the mountain, those which was the border between the two of us, China and us. All of a sudden news came from Delhi and China. India cross, Indian cross, Chinese border." My brigade commander said, who also pinned the badges later when he became the chief. He said, "You are the same lieutenant who was with me, who crossed the border." And he wanted now deputy wanted me to be sacked. Throw him back, throw me out of the army. He said, "Give him another chance, give him another chance." Then I got determined to join the parachute formation. The only red devils, the daring devils who are never stopped. I said, "Let's go somewhere where the people don't stop you. You just jump out. There's no road. Just jump out." So I, from Leh Ladakh to the paras, after my BTech, which is a military college of electrical mechanical engineering, तो नकल नुकल मार के पास हो गए तो हम भी बोलने लगे कि हम इंजीनियर हैं. So that's how life was. Ladakh is today totally different. You find hundreds and thousands of people going every season. The tourism has killed.
The nature.
The impact is very high.
You're not happy about that at all?
You know, I'm happy. People must go. People must see. But just see, eat, drink and come back, it's not good. You're being ruthless to the nature. लकड़ी काटो, 2 मिनट में आग जलाओ, हाथ गरम करो. अरे साले रजाई में घुस जा, सॉरी यूजिंग रफ लैंग्वेज, रजाई में घुस जा, 2 जैकेट डाल ले ना, लकड़ी काटेगा, वहां बैठेगा. नंबर 1, नंबर 2 गंगा के किनारे बैठ के करेगा. दिस नॉट ऑन. And one side you say we are really growing big. Where are the incinerators? Where is the disposal? In 1993, when I left the Indian Army, just before leaving the Army, I had Indo-British expedition where we planted 50,000 trees in 1993.
Wow.
In 40 days, 50,000 trees. You can't count 50,000 in month and a half. In Harsil, right up to Gangotri. Today, those trees, people are literally using the fruits and you see the greenery over there.
Wow.
I don't want to brag about it, but then we said there has to be an change in the outlook. That change with a massive tourism, पैसा 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 चाहिए. निधि चलो मैं ले चलता हूँ, मैं 25,000 में तेरे को एवरेस्ट दिखा लाऊंगा. दूसरा कहते हैं मैं 15 में लेके चलता हूँ. कूड़ा वहां पे फेंका और वापस आ गए. वो उठाने के लिए, कूड़े के लिए फिर पोर्टर जाएंगे. तब तक कूड़ा हवा से या पानी से या बर्फ से चला गया. I don't say that we don't have organizations. We have organization, but which overweighs the other one? भाई हर साल 15,000, 25,000. Every second guy want to be a tour operator because आराम से पैसा मिल रहा है. 4 को लेके जाना है, पैसा बन गया. ये कोई ये थोड़ी है कि गंद वहां से उठा के लेके आना है. 5 truckloads of garbage I brought from Tapovan.
Wow.
Kamal Nath ji, he used to be environment minister, now with the BJP and all that. When I was briefing them, he said, helicopter भेजूंगा ताकि तुम वहाँ से लाओ. मैं कहा सर हेलीकॉप्टर नहीं, गधे घोड़े के पैसे दे देना, उसके ऊपर रख के ले आऊंगा गंद. 5 truckloads of garbage and Tapovan, जहाँ पे sacred place of Lord Shiva. आप बोलते हो, तो मैं तो 60 से देखता आ रहा हूँ. 85, 89 तो I was the principal director of the Nehru Institute of Mountaineering. 73, 75 I was the vice principal, the deputy director. Prior to that I was a trainer. In between I was running courses for these girls and to climb Everest. I have seen it through for those 30 years how we have messed it up. बातें बड़ी लंबी लंबी करते हैं टीवी के ऊपर भी. I think it's the media which is needs a bit of a shake-up. I'm glad that Jagriti is coming and thank you for the invite. I'm sure some listeners are trying to understand.
Absolutely.
Look after your nature. It will look after you, give you, imbibe you with such a churn that you will have a fire life through. That's why I say, life is a bridge. Walk over it without bringing any bridges over it.